When you start looking at aftermarket wheels, you might see people talking about Supra fitment, and it's true. The fitment on 3 and 4 series is pretty close to the Supra. Now, of course, we're talking the new 3 and 4 series here, and while these cars share the same engine, the G2X is a lot larger and has its own personality. In this video, we're going to look at wheels and specs of those wheels that match basically the energy of this platform, kind of that 4-door Supra type vibe. This guide is for the newest models of BMW 3 and 4 series. They do fit pretty much the same, all trim levels and body styles, G20, 21, 22, and 23. While this does apply to the baby M cars, the M340i, the M440i, it does not apply to the significantly wider M3 and M4, the G8X chassis. We will make a separate video on them. They are super popular, but there you go. Basic info: 50112 bolt pattern, M14 1.25 lug bolts, 66.1 center bore, 103 foot-pounds of lug nut torque. Now, if you're used to older BMWs, the lug pattern was historically 5x120. However, these days we are, of course, talking 5x112. It is a little annoying. Otherwise, there's nothing that stands out about the fitment on these cars. If you're looking for 5x112 wheels for one, by the way, click the link down below. Now, if you own an XDrive model, which is the all-wheel drive, you will need to pay extra close attention, no pun intended, to tire sizes. If you're going to run a staggered wheel setup, which a lot of people do, that's totally fine. Just know that the rolling diameter, basically the overall diameter of your tires, needs to be pretty darn close front to rear. Now, on this platform, 1% of differential front to rear is recommended to not blow your transfer case up. So how does this translate to actual tire sizes? Well, if you want factory sizes, 225/45 and 255/40 will work, as they are dead on even. But who wants aftermarket wheels with some weak tires? Here are a few sizes that are within that 1% differential spec. So for the front, you can run a 245/45 and the rear a 275/40, a 245/40 and a 275/35, a 255/40 and a 285/35, a 255/35 and a 295/30, a 235/35 and a 275/30, 245/35, 285/30. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of tire sizes. Guess what? We write all this down in our guide on our website. You can just view it there. Now, of course, tire sizing will depend on how your wheels are spec'd and how much power your car makes. You don't need 295s on a stock power 328. The big decision, obviously, that needs to be made when it comes to wheels is your diameter. 18s or 19s are factory. 20s are very possible, but between the three, 19s and 20s are by far the most popular. Smaller sizes are normally reserved for either winter tires or drag builds as a rear wheel setup. So what about width and offset? Well, like most BMWs, these take really well to staggered wheel setups with relatively low offsets. Assuming that is what you want to run, the normal size is an 8 to 9 inch front wheel and a 9 to 10 out back. You can run wider, but this is pretty standard. Front offset is around a 20 to a 35, while the rear is always higher at around 35 to 45. A good rule of thumb is basically add 15 to 20 to your front offset, and the rear is pretty much going to match nicely from there. Now, we're going to take a look at some examples of how some different wheels fit on the G2X platform. Bear in mind, again, guys, there's a lot of different models and trim levels, but all the wheels are going to fit pretty much the same between them. This first one's on AVANT M520Rs. AVANT is a great brand that is a little bit slept on, to be honest. We do have them on our website, and they fit BMWs great. 19 by 8.5 plus 22 up front, 9.5 plus 35 up back. Continental Extreme contacts, 275/35 and 275/30. There are no spacers on this one. There's no other mods needed. This is just a bolt-it on and go super easy setup. If you're looking for clean OEM plus fitment, like I said, this is pretty much for you. Factory wheels on the M340i are 18.7.5 front, 18.8.5 rear. These AGs are half an inch wider front and rear, but the offsets are pretty close to the factory 19s. The end result that we are looking at here is going to be a factory look, but with the ability to run wider tires and have a little bit more flush fitment. On the subject of tires, this car's on 245/35s up front and 275/35s out back. This makes the rear tires smaller than the front, enough so that this Red X will not work on an XDrive. Do not do this. You'll blow your car up. To make it work, you could run a 235/35 in the front to bring it dead even with the rear, literal zero differential front to rear bias then. Now, this next one is sitting on VOLK Racing G025s, 19 by 9 plus 27, 19 by 10 plus 40, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, great tire, 235/40, 19, and 265 out back. Lowered on Eibach Pro Kit springs, and this G21 is running a staggered set of VOLK Racing wheels. The tire size is well within the spec for an all-wheel drive car, so you are good good to go on that one. This time, we're going to see a 9-inch wide front and 10-inch wide rear wheel. And when you start to go wider in the front, say a 9.5, you will probably run into issues with suspension clearance at that point. However, a 9 is usually good to go. A setup like this is generally the widest we would recommend if you do not want to roll your fender or adjust the alignment. Just, again, set it and forget it, bolt it on and go. You'll notice this one is a little bit lower than the last, and that's thanks to the AVANT Pro Kit springs. We do sell those on our website. They're a great drop for the car. They don't cost a ton of money. They cause no rubbing issues, no scrubbing. They're just super easy. This is pretty much your perfect bolt-on setup. Wouldn't be a list for BMW without Apex's VS5 RS 19x9 plus 25 all around, Pirelli P0s 245/40 and 255/40. They are running staggered tires on a square wheel setup on stock suspension. This is a GRAN coupe running Apex wheels sized at 19x9 plus 25 all the way around. Interestingly enough, this car is running a staggered set of tires with a square set of wheels. One of the big advantages, of course, of a square setup is the ability to rotate your tires, getting more life out of them. A square setup is geared more towards track-oriented builds, so if you're going to hit the road course, that's probably for you. If you go this route, please get the same tires on all 4 corners. We don't know why this guy did this, but he did, and it's probably just he had them laying around. 245/40 or 255/35 all around is what we'd recommend for this, and they'll fit well. We do have to add this generation of 4 Series GRAN Coupe is a huge step up in the looks department compared with the previous generation. The old one was kind of weird. This one looks really good. Now, VOLK Racing TE37s wouldn't be a BMW list without them. 19x9.5 plus 23, 19x10.5 plus 35. Continental Extreme Contacts, 255/35/19, 275/35/19. Stock height, no rubbing, but wheels barely clear the M calipers. Now for our last set of 19s on this car, here's something a little bit more aggressive. This is a G20 M340i and is sitting on a nice set of TE37s. This is a staggered setup with 9.5 fronts, about as wide as you can fit on these cars. One thing to note here is that the M Performance brakes are pretty darn massive and come very close to the wheels. And TE37s are even known to have fantastic brake clearance since they are racing-oriented wheels. Bear this in mind, if you have an M package, a lot of standard wheels will not clear your calipers. This one looks fantastic. I would lower this an inch and I would drive it until the wheels fell off. Beautiful car. Now we got some BBS CIRs, 20x8 plus 26 with a 10mm spacer and 20x10 plus 45. Bridgestone Potenza, 235/35/20 tires, AVANT Pro lowering springs, 10mm front spacers, as I mentioned earlier, because you do lower that effective offset. Now, sooner or later, we are going to see some BBS wheels on here. It's a BMW guide after all. This is what 20-inch CIRs look like on a G2X wagon. These are not the cheapest wheel on the planet, over $800 a piece in 20s. Just know that you could also take these specs and apply them to more budget-friendly wheels, although BBSs are fantastic. ROHANA is an option that a lot of BMW guys run, and that is probably something that you might want to check out if $800 a wheel is a little bit spendy for you. So how do 20s look on this platform? Well, in my opinion, they look really good, as we can see from here. This car is lowered on AVANT springs, and compared with 19-inch wheels, the 20s do really fill out the fenders, especially when the vehicle is not slammed. Otherwise, talking fitment, it's pretty much the same as what we already showed with 19s. Get a little 10mm spacer on there to clear the M Performance brakes, which is needed because they are so massive. This is another tire combination that will work on an XDrive vehicle, so just bear that in mind or check out that reference that we have in that fitment guide, which is linked down below. Now we've got some MRR GF5s, 20x9 plus 25, 20x10 plus 40, wrapped up in Toyo Proxies, 245/35 and 285/30. MRR is a fantastic budget-friendly wheel brand. It is probably the best bang for your buck setup you can get on this platform. The wheels are flow formed. A full set of 20s can be had for under $1,700 or even less for smaller sizes. These are paired up with Toyo Proxies AS tires. They are not the cheapest tire. They are not bad for a good quality tire. You've kind of got like Toyo, Nitto, Michelin kind of up here, and then you can get in the mid-range, and there you go. We'll make a video on it. 9-inch front and 10-inch rear wheels are one of the best combos for this platform, and the tire sizes you see here will work on an XDrive vehicle. A 285 is the widest tire that we've shown, and there is no rubbing at stock height, but this could change if the car is lowered or if you track it and it's got, you know, compression under load and all that stuff. A 295 will almost require fender work, and on such a new car, there really is no reason to do it. Now we'll take a look at one of ROHANA's newer models, the RFX 17, 20x9 plus 35, 20x10 plus 43. These are wrapped up, of course, in Continental Extreme Contact DWS 06 tires. They are a 255/35 in the front and a 285/30 out back. This one is lowered on Silver's coilovers, fantastic brand of coilovers. You can check them out on our website, link down below again. The fenders are rolled. There's some rubbing in the front at full lock, and if springs don't go low enough for you, then check out a set of coilovers. This is a G22 on a set of Silvers. because this was one of the first brands to launch a coilover for the G2X platform, besides obviously the race-oriented stuff like, KW and Olin's. Those come first, but who wants to spend $5,000, right? These days, you can choose between BC, Fortunato, K-Sport, Silvers, whatever brand floats your boat. They're all out there, but Silvers was one of the first. Check out our coilovers for your G2X, link down below. Bear in mind, the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drives do use different coilover setups, so if you have questions, just reach out. The specs on this are nothing that we haven't seen before, but because this one is lower than the others, we wanted to show you just to give you kind of a concept of like how the fenders needed to be modified and all that stuff. Rolling fenders is probably a good idea if you plan to lower your car, just kind of as a general rule, whether it's on springs or on coilovers. It's basically just insurance. You just won't store your fenders if you hit a bump, especially if you decide to run some thick tires like these ones. Now, it is 90+ degrees here in Florida, but we're going to talk about winter wheels because some of you live places where there's winter. FORGESTAR F14Cs, 18.5, 38 all the way around. These cars can be driven all year round. They're just a 3 Series BMW. These are wrapped up in, I'm not going to pronounce that brand, Vredstein WindTrack Pro 245, 45, 18. These are basically snow tires. This is a winter setup for an XDrive vehicle, and for XDrive owners looking for some winter wheels, these fit the bill very well. The square set of FORGESTAR F14C wheels is relatively cost effective. They are still a very, very nice wheel. They are very high quality. They come in 18.5, 38 with a high offset. The fitment is not aggressive, but that's not the point here. These will let you run a wider tire than the factory 18 by 7.5. This car is running 245, 45, 18s. The tire brand, like I said, you can throw on your favorite winter tire, right? Shout out Vredstein. I'm sure they make something great. I know nothing about them, sorry. So let's wrap it all up. BMW makes it complicated with a whole bunch of different chassis codes, but guess what? There's no reason to overthink the fitment. It is all exactly the same across the G family. So if you see a wagon or a Gran Coupe or a sedan or a coupe or whatever with fitment you like, it'll look just as good on your sedan or your convertible. Just remember, M3 stuff, M4 stuff does not fit. When you get the perfect fitment for your 3 or 4 Series, be sure to upload it to our vehicle gallery. You can click the link down below to do that. It's a great place to show off your ride, or check out other BMWs have already put wheels on and you can just copy their setup, and it makes life really easy because then you don't have to guess. Thank you all so much for watching the video. If there's another vehicle we should do a fitment guide on, drop a comment down below. If this helped you, drop a comment down below. If you don't like the fact that I'm sitting down in this video as opposed to standing up, drop a comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.